things have definitely changed. My first year wholesaling, I made 1,600. Second year, we made, I think it was a little over like 300,000. And then fourth year was 800,000, and this year is 1.4 million.
10 to 15,000.
$500,000 in assignments.
$150,000.
Super excited to have, I just know you as Dan Buys Houses. So I'm not even going to say your last name unless you want to, but know him as Dan Buys Houses. You can look him up on YouTube. We're going to have his channel link in the description below. But super excited to have him back here on a success call. Dan, tell the good people where you're located and what kind of real estate investing you do.
So my name is Dan. My last name is Berovides, but I never use it just because it's so long and hard, and there's no point in using it. But I'm a real estate investor in Charlotte, North Carolina. I primarily focus on wholesaling. I have wholesaled probably almost 200 deals by now. I've been doing this for 4 years. I wholesale practically all of the Charlotte metro area. Anything within 2 hours of Charlotte, usually we have our hands on it.
So tell us a quick little story about how you got started in real estate investing, because now I know you have a team and everything. So what does that journey look like to where you are now?
So when I first started out, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I learned about contract assignments. In Rich Dad Poor Dad, if nobody's ever read it, you'll probably read a part where he says that he sold a contract and made $500,000. It opened up my eyes, and I was like, wow, I could sell real estate or get started in real estate investing, and I don't really even need any money. I saw some of the other great guys like Max Maxwell and Nasser, Real Estate Guru. These guys were making money, and I was like, wow, I could make money too. So from there, it was just me by myself hanging out bandit signs. I even I had a small accident on my hand where one of my hands was not usable, so I was hanging bandit signs with just my mouth and zip ties and my other hand. Uh,
That's
if you want to see
commitment,
it,
people. That's
right
commitment.
there. Yeah, I had a strep infection in my hand. I almost lost my hand and my arm. So it's pretty crazy. As I got home from the hospital, there's a box sitting on my front porch with bandit signs in it. So that really happened.
So when people come up with excuses of not to go driving for dollars or anything like that, this man was about to lose his hand and part of his arm, and he still went out and put up bandit signs.
I even had the hand strapped up like this, so I couldn't even use it. So I'm like with one bandit sign and my teeth trying to pull zip ties on signs. And my wife was driving me around at the time, and I would go out like at 11 o'clock at night and put them up. And I even put up a couple bandit signs upside down, so I had to cut them down and redo the whole thing. But
Oh, commitment.
it was
though.
fun. I mean, it was terrible at the time, but it's fun to look back at that, and I was like, wow, that's where I came from. And so I actually found a deal. I actually picked up a bunch of leads from those bandit signs, and I closed the deal. It was let me see, my hand surgery was in May. I closed the deal in August. So we closed it. I only made $1,600, but I proved the concept works. And then I found my partner on the next deal, which also came from bandit signs. And then me and him just started exploring other options and joined forces. And then, of course, using DealMachine, my absolute favorite way to find my properties, has propelled us to where we are today. We finally have a team. It's four of us now, and things have definitely changed. My first year wholesaling, I made 1,600. Second year, we made, I think it was a little over like 300,000. And then fourth year was 800,000, and this year is 1.4 million. So
That's so
pretty good.
exciting, Dan. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself, because I was like, I'm gonna make it happen. I have no idea if I'll make it there, but that was the goal, was to try to make over $1 million this year, and we finally did it. So it was definitely tough. It was not easy at all.
So what would you say to someone who's watching this that's not, because I hate when people say like, oh, I only made $800 on my first deal or something like that. I hate that, because to your point, like, you proved though that it works. You're doing the work. You can just keep continuing to learn. So what would you say to someone who isn't truly like really believing yet that they can make $1 million 1 year in real estate investing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If anything, I feel like my first check was the biggest check I've ever cashed because it proved that if I can cash this amount of money, the future just looks so much brighter. And I think a year later, it was like a year and a month later, I cashed the biggest check I ever did at the time, which was $35,000. And then a year after that, my biggest check was like $100,000. And now on a monthly basis, we're making anywhere between 100 to $150,000 in assignment fees.
That's that's nuts. I mean, I'm amazing nuts.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because 2021, 2020, we saw a lot of great success from those years. Now, but 2022 is going to be your best year, and people have been really talking about the market changes and things like that. Uh, how do you take in all the things with the market change and everything? Because it doesn't sound like it's slowing you guys down at all.
No, I actually just assigned the property, I think it was the day before yesterday. It's a $40,000 assignment fee. So it just all depends on I think not so much where you're at, but who you're actually throwing these properties to. Because we have noticed a lot of our buyers have dried up. A lot of flippers have completely disappeared off the face of the earth, and they're not buying anymore. But at the beginning of the year, we also made the transition into buying some of these properties. So now we actually own 17 properties this year. And because of that, we're now in a position to where we can actually buy some of our deals
Mm.
instead of only wholesaling. But wholesaling is still going to be there because it's a great way to make money. But I've noticed that more buy and hold investors are coming out, and they're just buying at a bigger discount than before. So if anything, our numbers just have to work a little bit better than they used to, but we're still doing quite a few deals. We're actually not marketing right now just because we were doing so many deals that we have to now like, all right, we have so many things that we got to take care of before the end of the year and we need to do them. So we stopped marketing because of it. And we're still closing deals. I actually had a lady that called me the other day off of a text message from 8 months ago saying that she wants to sell her house. So we're still closing deals. We just, you know, at a lower price point.
Well, so kind of talking about you're having to switch to buy and hold, more buy and hold investors to pick up these properties. Did you start? Is that just through networking? Is that through like going on a board and saying, "Hey, who's buying still?" Like, how did you continue that, or were they already on your list?
So they were already on my list. I also do network a lot. I do try to go out to a lot of networking events. I talk to a lot of people. We, because of our reputation, we're also highly recommended through other people. Even realtors recommend us. As funny as that is, uh, I've had guys call me and be like, "Yeah, man, my realtor told me to contact you. That you guys got all the deals." And I was like, "Really, your realtor? Who's your realtor?" Because some realtors they call us and they're like, "Oh, you guys wholesale houses? No, forget it." But yeah, just a lot of networking. We also do use Investor Lift. I know this is not really promoting them, but we have access to like 4.1 million buyers across the United States, so that helps too. But even if we didn't have it, I have plenty of buy and hold guys that I can always reach out to, and they're always buying.
Okay. So what kind of going into having all these deals, so can you kind of break down your team for us for those who are kind of wanting to build out a team? Who do you have right now, position wise?
Okay, so me and my partner, of course, we're at the top. We're usually in the disposition area. He's mostly disposition and follow-ups. I take care of all the marketing, um, like literally everything marketing, all of from us using DealMachine, text messaging, cold calling. Most of that marketing is set up from me, and then my acquisitions guys, they are dual role, so they also do cold calling and actually reach out through text messaging, and then they also close deals. So they're constantly following up with their follow-ups, constantly picking up the marketing. And then I have a data cleaner overseas who's always cleaning our data, make sure our data is complete so we can properly market to people.
Yeah. So good. Kind of working backwards from, you talked about disposition, the follow up. So how are you guys? I know you said you're using DealMachine. How do you fit that into your strategy? Because I know that you are one of, if I'm sorry if there's someone else who adds more properties than you, but I've not met one yet that adds more properties in a day. But how could you kind of speak to people how you make sure that that pipeline is continually full and continues to not dry up because you're being consistent with adding leads? Like, how do you fit that in?
So it's funny because I just deleted everything from my deal machine the other day, because I do it
And
every
what?
single year. I do it every year. I delete my deal machine at least twice a year, everything in it. And the reason is because when I go back out and drive, I want to make sure that I'm only getting the right people in my pipeline. And
Mm.
then I'll compare it back to what I already have in my system. One of the great things to use with Deal Machine, I love REI Sift. So when I'll go out and I'll go driving, I think last week I picked up 7,000 properties, and I'll compare it to see what I already have in my system and recall them and just see who hasn't been touched in a while. Even my follow-ups, I'll look to see where my follow-ups are in there, any not interested, and we revisit those leads consistently.
So I have to ask you, have you, because you have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, have you used the new camera point and add feature yet?
I had played around with it, but it started getting crazy on me because I drive really fast. I drive for dollars. So I was like, okay, this isn't working for me. I'm just gonna, go back to what I know how to
Tap to
use, because
add.
tab to add is awesome for me. Because I'm usually moving very fast. Like I'll run down a street and get like 8 houses in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So
No, I won after I said it. I'm like these pictures of these houses that you're adding are going to look like swishing by because you're going to be like just going by so fast when you're adding 7,000 in a weekend. I just started playing around with it and I was like, "Oh, this is so nice. I can just lolly cuz I'm very slow when I drive for dollars." But for you, yes, that would probably look not be very beneficial.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I will use it. Just mostly tap to add is just my friend right now. And since I'm usually, I mean, I'm not, don't quote me on this, but I'm not breaking the speed limit as I go down these streets. But usually I'm rolling pretty quickly when I'm looking at these houses and I can make a decision. I don't really sit there and just think about, oh, like what features of the house, show me that there's some distress. If I just see one piece of distress, like, maybe a car that's been sitting for a long time or broken windows, work that needs to be done, I just take it and move on and I'll call them. I mean, the worst that could happen is they tell you, no, I'm not interested. But at least you have now the right owner in your database, and maybe in a year from now, they might be interested.
So that was you kind of went into my second question of like what you look for because you're adding these so fast. I think I noticed that a lot of people do get hung up on, is this distressed enough? Is this not distressed? Because they don't want to waste marketing dollars or anything like that. So do you have anything to say? I know you said like, the worst they could say is no, but do you have any kind of mindset that you could kind of help them with that?
Yeah. So I add properties by accident all the time that I'm not supposed to add. Because, I'm just flying by and I'll just tap on a property and maybe I wanted the house next door, but I got the other house and it ends up being a deal. So even though like you could sit there and contemplate whether it's really, a good deal or not, depending on your marketing strategy, since we text message first and then we cold call and then we mail, by the time somebody gets to the mail point of our marketing, the list has gone from maybe 1,000 people down to like maybe 300 people, 300 to 400 people, I would say. So you already wiped out half of it, and maybe, that other half that's in there might end up selling. And what is it really going to cost you to send one more extra postcard if you have to? It for us, we've spent like $40,000 in marketing this year to make $1.4 million. It makes total sense.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good ROI.
Yeah, it's surprising. Like I was looking at it, I was like, are these numbers right? Because the bookkeeper sent it to us. And I was like, wow, $40,000. I spent more in payroll than I did in marketing. So it's
See,
pretty
and
awesome.
that's a huge hang up for people. So thank you for sharing those numbers because I think people are, they think $40,000, but then you say, but we made over a million. That just the weight of that just seems so minute then.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
even driving for dollars itself, I drive my $5 a gallon F-350 right now, and I don't really care because I know that the money I'm gonna get back in return, even though I'm spending like $100 in gas to go out or diesel, it's gonna pay back because if you go out and drive and you're only picking up one or two properties, it's never gonna pay off. It's a numbers game. You gotta at least go out and pick up 100 properties, and one out of that 100 might be a deal waiting for you to call.
do you guys know what your like deal ratio is? Like how many do you guys kind of have it down to if you guys add X number of properties, you'll probably get X number of deals?
So I don't have it down to that. Right now, I focus more on what do I have to spend to get a deal, and what is it costing me per lead to get a lead. So right now, it's $30 per lead and about $1,200 per deal. I think it's less than that, but I think the average is like $1,200.
That's really good. I was about to say
Yeah,
1200 for you said that your biggest check was what? Like 50? No, 100. You said you had 100, didn't you?
yeah. This year we did 100 and like I think it was like 110,000.
Yeah. That's just like meh. It's just a part of it.
Yeah, so I mean, it pays off dramatically. A lot of people get caught on like, oh, I'm just gonna add these 10, and then they say, oh, Deal Machine doesn't work. But you just gotta keep going and keep at it. And since the best leads are coming from Deal Machine, everybody's like, oh, let's stack all these lists. But by the time you actually call everybody on that list, I picked up all those properties driving, and I already called them and made those deals happen. So you're still just wasting your time while I'm closing deals and vice versa. So people could close more deals if they just realize you're putting eyes on the properties in Deal Machine. You can see like the distress. So you can come back to a absentee list, you can come back to, a tax delinquent list, and you're not going to get those properties fast enough through those lists.
Yeah. No, I think you're a great example of what driving for dollars is all about. I know a lot of people do it and then they don't want to drive for dollars anymore. I know you find it quite fun, and my heart about jumped when you told me what kind of diesel truck you use to go driving for dollars. So then it's just like there's no excuse. Like there's no excuse.
And the funny thing is, like, I've never used well, I haven't had a car, like a regular four-door car in years. My wife has a Nissan Armada. It's also a V8. I go driving for dollars in that thing all the time. My truck, and then the truck I had before that was also a Nissan Armada, and I've been driving for dollars in that thing since I started wholesaling. So
That's
it's
amazing.
gas has never been the issue, I guess, because I look at, what does it cost me to get a deal versus trying to actually sit there and dial all the time. Most people don't realize this, but I could pull a list of 10,000 people. It's going to take you at least 2 to 3 months to actually really run through it. If you're looking for, just absentee owners or tax delinquent, with my driving for dollars list, even though it might take me 3 months, I'm pulling deal after deal out of it instead of just
That,
looking for like one or two deals.
and like you said, some of those haven't hit a list yet. So you've already hit them before somebody else can get them as well. So
Correct. There's some absentee owned properties that won't show up under absentee owned because their mailing address is the same as the house address, but they are vacant. Nobody lives there. They might not even be tax delinquent. So if you're looking for that absentee tax delinquent vacant house, those three lists, it's never going to show up on there. It's still an owner occupied house according to your list.
Okay, I'll wrap up here, but I do have something else to say after I'm done with this. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We want to have you back again very soon. Tell the good people where they can follow you.
You can find me on Instagram, dan.buys.houses. You can find me on YouTube, same thing, Dan Buys Houses. I'm even on TikTok now. Finally, after so long of not ever being on there. You can reach out to me on any of those three platforms. I usually respond, pretty quickly. If not, you can also email me, dan.buys.instagram@gmail.com.
Love it. Thanks, Dan.